past. Okay, so one of the questions is going to be like, what does it mean to be human or non-human? And there's going to be, in terms of the Western elements, there's going to be a lot of the water element, and that I think that has to do with Neptune. So in March and April, and again in October, there may be more flooding, there may be more droughts. We're going to be really short on earth element, and that's the grounding. So that's why one of the best practices you could do, and one of the foundational practices of any spiritual path, is to learn how to ground and center yourself. Again, turning inward, watching your breath, sending your roots down into the earth like a tree. Even if you got up every morning and just like sat up in bed and just pretended you were a tree and feeling your body as a tree trunk and your branches reaching up to the sun and your roots reaching down into Mother Earth to anchor yourself. That would be really, really good, because you can also take whatever mental buzz and whatever stuff you're feeling and let it compost down through those roots, send it down like a grounding rod. The other thing is, she said, is your state of being is your top priority this year. And this has come through too. I just got huge chills on that. Whatever is going on around you, your personal state of being is what is most important. You know, a lot of times in our culture, we're taught to not be selfish or to not do this, and we put everybody else in front of us, but we can't anymore, because it's that thing of putting the oxygen mask on first. You're not going to be able to help anybody else unless you put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yeah,
So
taking care of yourself, honoring yourself is not selfish. And I just had this conversation with someone yesterday. Don't tell me I'm selfish because I take care of myself. Because if I can't take care of me, then I sure as hell can't take care of anybody else. So
and who's going to take care of me? I mean, I'm like, yeah, there's some of us on here that it's like, if we really like, okay, who's around to take care of us? Because there's not.
I have no family at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have animals who, would love to help me out, but, they have limitations. And so that's
They
it.
can't. Yeah.
If I don't
Yeah.
take care of myself, I can't take care of me, I can't take care of them, and I can't take care of clients and do whatever
Yeah.
contribution I'm supposed to, like we're all supposed to make to, this whole thing we're living through.
Whatever it is. Yep.
I don't
And
want to hear anybody
so,
say you're selfish. I'll hit them.
yes. And that's one thing I've really done this vacation. I've gotten some serious rest in, and I recommend over these last few days, if you can do that, take naps, get your rest in. We're going to increasingly, and this came through, I mean, the whole reason I started this whole group back in like 2021 was because I was doing a lot of work with Hecate, and I got this major download of the way through this is to connect in with nature, to connect with Gaia, the planet, to connect with the animals, to connect with the plants. And all of this other AI, social media, whatever, that is not going to help us through what we're going through. So we're going to increasingly see the earth as the living, breathing consciousness that the earth is. And we're going to realize that on a much grander and deeper level than we've ever had before, because the earth is going through its own upgrade as a planetary consciousness, and we're on we're her skin. We're like the little spiders on Mama Spider, and we you know we're writing it through. um there's also, because of all this change, there's a huge opportunity here, and I think that's where we need to look at it, to really bring out a whole new you. If there's things you wanted to change in your life and places where you realize you have not been living authentically, now is the time to just say, hey, this is who I am, regardless. And we're going to be operating in a much different level. There's going to be much more transparency. There's not room anymore for not being transparent. And there's already situations happening where we're seeing those that are not in their integrity. And it's like glaringly obvious. Like you can't even stomach it anymore because it's so apparent. And that's just going to get more and more and more so. So there's three keys. This came from Pam Gregory. There's three keys to getting into the higher realms. And I learned this, there's on the spiritual path, you come across different thresholds to cross, and you have to have, you're not going to get across unless there's certain things and keys. In Buddhism, they talked about it being bodhicitta, which means that you are living authentically through your heart center, essentially. And you have to have bodhicitta, which means that how you feel about these animals and another living thing's well-being, you will put in front of yourself or stand up for them from your heart. So the three keys she talks about is integrity, humility, and heart-centeredness. And that includes being in service to other, but this comes after we take care of ourselves. We cannot be in service to anyone if we're not taking care of ourselves. And again, for years now, people have been talking about these diverging timelines. There's lots of different timelines. You can jump timelines, and I'm sure everybody's experienced that. But there's two diverging collective timelines, and we can already see them separating. If somebody is on a different timeline than yours and they are going down that path, let them go down the path. Do not stand in front of the rushing herd that's jumping off the cliff. Do not try to hang on to them and pull them away from their path, because we have no idea what their path needs to be. Let them go down their path. And again, we're seeing this left and right. I mean, I'm seeing this even with clients, and I'm just like, all right, you want to go down that path. And one client, I said, if you're making that choice, that's great, that's fine, but I can't walk with you down it. I can't do it. And that's coming back to taking care of myself. If we choose, and it really comes back to the path of love and the path of fear. And there's a path of fear that people, are getting all caught up in this technological, synthetic AI mind, like madness. And they're going to get locked in to, they already are getting locked in a big way. You guys, genetically, they're getting locked in. And I'm not kidding when I say that. They are becoming like programmed in the genetic stuff that is coming out and continuing to come out. To me, it's as bad, if not worse, than splitting the atom. What they were doing is if it would be, I think it would almost be easier if we went through nuclear conflagration, because it would be quicker than what they're doing with this genetic stuff. So the other path is love, being service to others, being Gaia-based, earth-based. And if you're in doubt, ask the animals. Because they're sitting here going, this way. Take me on a walk. So we're going to have an easier, those who choose the path of love it's going to be a path filled with much more grace. It may not be easier, but it is going to be filled with grace and flow. And we are going to have all the support there of all the, greater angelic beings and masters and whatever you want to call them, Our Lady and all these beings, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, are all be there cheering us on down that path. We're gonna see a breakdown, obviously, of the old guard is happening. the collapsing of government, collapsing of banks, collapsing of, I mean, what, France is gone now, Germany, all these things are going on. Let it go. There's going to be a dissolution of external authority figures. So the Hollywood stuff, traditional religion, our priests, and like all of this type of stuff, things that people worshipped, influencers, for God's sake.
Please.
We just saw, I don't know, I'm just because everybody's here in the animal world, these people, BK pets, are just absolutely, it surprises me and doesn't surprise me. But talk about being out of your integrity with no humility. They went on a tour with Roxanne from Solutions Pet Foods, and now are coming out on the kibble bandwagon. I guess because they weren't making enough money on being an influencer with the raw pet food feeding community. I don't know. So again, be very careful who you put your energy behind, who you hook up with. I mean, I'm not even like collaborating. My collaborations might be to get on the phone and have a talk with somebody, but I am like staying in my own lane entirely right now because there's going to be a separation of the wheat and chaff of people. I did make a very interesting connection off of Substack, and we didn't get to talk over the holidays because we're both on the holiday break, but hopefully this weekend. She is a virologist. She is a lab PhD virologist, and she started writing some stuff on Substack. And she wrote me back because I mentioned this whole bird flu thing. She wrote me back tonight, and she's like, Josie, they have been trying to use bird flu as a fear mongering technique since 2003. And she said that when the year she got her PhD, her PhD professor ended up talking the government into giving 6 different bird flu surveillance labs $6 million a piece in a contract that lasted for 6 years. So there is big money behind this. Moderna just got paid millions, like another 1.3 million or whatever it was back in July to come up with an mRNA vaccine for this. Yes. So they've got to get people scared enough so they will take that damn vaccine. So
I just listened to a really good interview while I was cleaning the barn this afternoon, and Dr. McCullough was one of them, but there were others too who are involved in this, and they said that they have actually they took, and they, you know, the collective they, whoever's behind this, they actually took these mallard ducks and infected them and set them free so they could fly around and infect all of the flocks all over the freaking country. They did it intentionally.
I believe it. I totally believe it. These people are, it is like the mob on steroids, and they have we're talking BlackRock. Okay, they own most of the world, so they're not going to give up, and I completely believe it. That large cat sanctuary, I wouldn't doubt if they had seeded that whole place to make all those cats sick. And it's very easy to shut, you know, and now they're turning they're turning raw food into the culprit. And I think that's just a like, oh, you tried to come at us with the Purina thing, here you go. You know, honestly, it's disgusting. So what we do, and it's amazing how quick that lit up a match, and it's all over social media, and how many cats have died. There's like one pet cat that died. How many cats have we seen die over Purina? How many cats and dogs have I seen die on a daily basis over Silencia and Librela? And so we got to keep, you know, if it makes you get worked up going on social media, turn it off. Just turn it off. Don't scroll. There was somebody that came back at me today with this whole 5-page long retort to me. And I'm like, just please unfollow me. That was my reply to her. Just unfollow me. I don't have time. So they're amping that up. So we have to, again, come back to our centers and get back to heart. And no, I love the picture of your cat with the big piece of, you put that up with a big piece of raw meat.
That was my little Violet. Yep, and she's
Yes.
one of the feral kittens, and that was basically she hadn't been here, what, maybe 2 weeks when she was, and from eating kibble in the colony too. And she stole that
Mm.
chicken thigh off my counter while and then had the audacity to sit there in the middle of my living room floor and just dare me to try to take it from her. Step was pointing it at me.
Yeah.
I thought that
So,
was perfect considering what was going on.
exactly, exactly. So the other thing to help us know what is true and what is non-true, there's a huge, our intuition and clairsentience and clairaudience is, we have an opportunity to open that wide up this year. So like all of the work we've been doing in here and with everybody's been doing, we're already 20 steps ahead of that. But we know when it comes in, there's probably going to be people, and I already see some of it, walking around thinking like they're going crazy because they're hearing things, when what they're doing is their intuition's coming online. So some people aren't going to be able to handle that, especially a lot of people on medicated and things like that. So, but that's going to help us with our discernment and discerning what is true or not, what's something that they've created versus something that we really need to watch out for. And the fact is, even still, like, somebody said, well, why did you mention antivirals? I mentioned antivirals in the fact that there's a lot of things that, and I'm going to put something together, what I have in my personal toolkit. There is so many things that we can help to keep us healthy as they throw all this crazy stuff at us. And everything from easy stuff, preventative, that I do every day, all the way to if I'm feeling sick and I've got a scratchy throat and I don't want to be laying in 3 weeks in bed like everybody's still doing these days, I will take some other stuff. So I can put my protocol up there, and you can, everybody's body is different. But again, as our intuition comes online, and as we get more in tune with our own bodies and our animal bodies, you can catch things earlier. You can tell when things are off balance. I can tell right away if I'm fighting something, if something has come in and crossed my Wei Qi, and I'm like, oh, okay, my immune system's gearing up towards something. So you do something right away, right then, before you get sick. I know a bunch of people sick down here and online. I mean, people are getting like laid up for 3 to 4 weeks.
Everybody I know, I talk to, this one's sick, that one, and then it's this, and then the next week it's something else. And if I wake up in the morning and I have the teeniest tingle just somewhere in
Yeah,
my brain, I reach either
yeah,
for either oregano oil or for chlorine dioxide, because I don't know what it's, a bacteria, virus,
yeah.
whatever, but I know it'll clear. And I have not manifested anything except for that god awful,
Your
cleanse.
neck thing.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, and
that cleanse, but that was a big cleansing, and I was
yeah,
smart enough to just go to bed, and I went to bed, and I didn't do anything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then it was gone. So, and
That's
that,
one of my go-tos is, yeah, rest. Just
yeah.
rest.
And well, and the very last sentence in that message from Squirrel was, "You are in charge of your life, as it should be. Period. Don't get dragged into all this other extraneous
Yep,
BS." I just,
yep,
oh, no.
yeah, yeah. You got to turn it off.
Yeah.
Um, So along with that intuition, we're going to develop a bigger understanding that everything's energy and frequency. And so that goes along with feeling something coming in that isn't yours. Or if you, I mean, that time when I got that weaponized COVID, I mean, I was like, I was under attack. That was a whole nother level of madness. Um, so what else? Okay, there's going to be probably, oh, and this is really interesting because she follows a lot of, Gregory follows a lot of people that are doing some really, really cool new stuff, scientists and everybody else. So she says that we're going to realize that, well, she says first off that the earth has never been more electrified than it is right now. And with Uranus as a planet of electricity and it going into Gemini, it's going to amp that up. But there's like man-made electricity with all the EMF, the cell phone towers, the satellites rotating around the earth. So we've got all of that whole electric field going on. And then we have the natural electricity from like the solar flares, which are just had been nonstop. I mean, this last year we've been hit by some of the most powerful solar flares ever, but the solar flares, a lot of people are saying they're actually elevating our frequencies. They're putting us into those cleanses and knocking old stuff out of our systems. The other thing is extreme weather. There's going to be more extreme weathers. And that also, there's the man-made version of the extreme weather, and then there's the natural version of the extreme weather because the earth is shifting and changing. The electromagnetic field, I swear to God, I thought we had a pole shift. And NASA was actually watching it. It got so off there for a little bit, they were actually showing it starting to shift. And we could still
Okay.
go through that.
Really?
So that's a big thing. When the electromagnetic field gets weak enough for the poles to start shifting around, it affects our bodies because our cells, our nervous systems, our brains all work off those electromagnetic frequencies. So there could be sea level changes, there could also be droughts. There's also places in the ocean where new land is coming up. Because again, the whole earth is evolving. So we've got the Hawaiian volcano going off, but they've actually found somewhere, I think it's out in the Pacific, where they actually have new islands coming up, which is very interesting. They're talking about it's almost like the reversal of Atlantis, but as some go underwater, new islands come up, and those new islands may have really fertile, rich soil. There's another thing with the pole shift too, is some scientists have said it's not our north and south pole are 23 degrees off of direct north and south. And some people have a theory that that happened whenever like the dinosaurs, like something, if the meteor hit the earth or something threw it off. So some people are saying that if it shifts back, it may shift back to normal, which means there won't be a frozen north and south pole, but there'll be temperate regions. Like the earth all the way around the world will be more temperate, which is something interesting to think about because it's actually going to give us more land and more ability to grow food and stuff, which may get back to like the Lemurian tales where it was a much easier, graceful way of living. So there's that, all of that is happening. There's new people, there's people that there's a transmuting of waste and pollution that's happening too. There's massive innovation happening with that, of how the earth and actually people are coming up with new ways of like dealing with all that plastic in the oceans and stuff and recovering it and cleaning it all up. So like she said, like keeping our focus based on innovation towards positive things instead of saying, you know, like the whole climate change, we're all doomed and we're going to die in what, 2 years or something. Let's switch it around from a place of love. We love the planet. Let's see what good things people are doing out there.
We have the power, by the way, to alter all of that. If there's
Yes.
a horrific storm, a malevolent storm coming, we have the power to dissipate that and to calm it down. And I mean, I know I've done it with a group.
Yeah, you've done it. I've done it. We would call Lama Norla, my Tibetan Rinpoche. We would call him when a hurricane was coming in, and he literally would do storm magic to push those storms.
We used to do
off.
that. We just changed the trajectory so they lost their force and there was no damage. And people,
And there was a lot of that going on down with the storms. Actually, there was a couple groups with the storms coming in, those big hurricanes this past year. So that one that was coming into Florida, we thought it was going to be like a Cat 5, but I know there were people praying and doing weather stuff, weather magic all over. And it didn't, and it was so bizarre because it hit Florida and then it just like fizzled
See, we can do that with the natural weather. We can't do that, I don't think, with
with
the
them. Yeah.
related stuff. I think that's where we get
Well,
lost.
I think we can though, but I think it's just more difficult
Yeah,
because the storm that came in that hit New Orleans, I knew people that were doing it, and it skirted around Florida. It's
it's a
interesting
lot
some of the
more.
movements.
I think it takes a lot because we're
It
not
takes a
just
lot
dealing
more.
with the natural, the weather. We're dealing with the
Yeah.
energy that's creating it, and that nasty energy is that's the tough part, I think. But we can
Yeah,
get
definitely.
minds to
Yeah.
it.
There's gonna be more of the bullshit, the war, the censorship, all this stuff. And the key is to find like-minded people, find community, find the tribe, and stick with that. And that's another reason why I had this tonight, is because we just need just this, even if it's a small group or whatever, to people on the same wavelength, you know, because it's yeah. And again, seeing yourself this goes back to some of the messages. Seeing yourself as a sovereign being, the master of your inner being. That is just, I can't say that enough. And there'll be an increased awareness of belief filters. That's already happening to me. Our beliefs create our reality, and we can have old beliefs from that we've picked up from our parents, from teachers, from partners, from all of this bullshit. And there's going to be those beliefs are going to be peeling off of us. So if we catch ourselves going into like a negative frame of mind, or thinking, oh, there's this big obstacle, there's no way I can get through it, telling ourselves things like that, it's good to stop and see, maybe write down your inner dialogue is what I like to do in a journal. I'll sit there and start writing that inner dialogue, oh, it's going to be horrible. I'm going to end up on the street. I'm not going to have any money in the bank, or this is never going to happen, or whatever. Write it down. And as you write it down, there's an act of putting it on paper, you get distance from it. And sometimes you'll actually hear the person that was telling you these messages. Like sometimes I'll even hear like my father's voice or my mother's voice or teacher's voice telling you this stuff, and it's what gets programmed into us. So it's actually doing our own deprogramming and shadow stuff. So, and a really good morning and evening practice is, somebody put this, I read this, and it was just, she had gone to I think a Teach Nhat Hanh and retreat, and there was this monk there, and she like developed this crush on this monk, and then she ended up having like a private teaching with him. And she thought, oh, he's going to tell me the secrets to my life, and everything's going to be okay, and everything's going to be better and stuff. And so she sat down with him, and he was like, he looked at her and he said, the most important thing you could do is to start every day by just opening your eyes and having gratitude for the morning and saying hello to the morning, and ending every night by closing your eyes and having gratitude for the night and gratitude for that time to sleep and rest. Just so simple. And giving yourself that love and gratitude, if you have a hard day, thanking your body or whatever for getting you through that hard day, or getting you through whatever you had to go through.
And when you
So,
start, I mean, I do this, my little thing is, and I could use, even when I'm driving, whatever, I just will list all the things for which I am grateful in detail. And you find as you go, that list gets longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. There are so many things that we take for granted, but when
yes.
we start to verbalize it and think about it, it's like, oh my God, we have so much to be grateful for. It
Yeah,
changes
we really do.
it'll change the energy like in a heartbeat.
Yes. Yeah, it'll change your whole energy, and the energy that you're putting out, and then the energy that you're attracting back in. It's huge. So, yeah, I think that's it. And just going back to that place, what was it? Humility, integrity, humility, and heart-centeredness, and coming back into our place of stillness. So, and simplicity. So with that, if you have anybody has anything else to add, we can sit and go into that place of stillness with one another. Let me grab my phone.
The only thing I might say, and you and I have talked about this in
Mhm.
the past, but, and I think people forget, or sometimes there's a confusion, and it came up again in this message, yesterday, was when your soul, your higher self, and your personality self are
Mhm.
all connected in alignment and all working towards the same goal. And that's the part I think that a lot of people forget. Oh yeah, my soul's fine, my higher self's fine. But sometimes
But
they're
I don't think people know even I don't think they know those differentiating, because it's the soul, personal self, which is like ego.
and the high people think the soul and the higher self are the same, but they're not.
Yeah, and they're not. What I like call it the soul or the spirit, or soul or spirit as higher self too. But they're not. They're different.
And
And
we are
that
a
was
triad. And this is everything,
yeah,
it's that
yeah,
triad. So
yeah.
important. So,
It is so important, actually. And the triad in magical circles, that triangle is it they call it the triangle of manifestation. You have to have that aligned in order to manifest anything.
and today when I had my session with Laura, and Laura sent me a text, she wasn't going to get home in time from getting her kids settled, to although she wanted to come tonight. But I had a session with her for the first time in 2.5 weeks, and her wonderful partner, God love him, for Christmas he got her the crystal singing pyramid, and she used.
Oh, those are awesome. Oh, those are really cool.
Oh my God, it was absolutely amazing. So yeah.
Those are cool. Wow. Okay, so I went on Insight Timer to set the timer for the meditation, and this is a message that popped up, which I just thought was interesting. And it is just lost it. I had to take a screenshot, otherwise it pops up and goes away. Buddy, you can just wait. Worrying is betting against yourself. By Terence McKenna, who is like the mushroom guy, the psychedelic mushroom guy.
That's great. That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Because sometimes we do, like our mind gets caught up in these things of worrying about things, and also gratitude will take you out of that too. It just completely flips the whole thing over, you know.
And that goes along with whatever you don't actively reject, you are accepting. And people don't think of
Yes.
that. And that's really important.
By not making a choice, and these timelines, boy, it's big right now. It's we have to come from love, from a place of love. And if it doesn't feel good, and somebody the other day was saying, oh, my gut was telling me all the way, and I'm like, you have to listen to that stuff. You have to, because it could cause, there's no wiggle room. It's honing our skill. It's honing our skills. Yeah. Okay. So I received this today. Buddy, it's not funny. I received this today, and he will be with our, oh, wait, you can't even hardly see him either. He's a, there you can kind of see. It's a Shungite, carved Shungite Buddha. And he has so much detail on him. I couldn't even believe, like, it's carved, but there's carving all the way around the backside too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and Shungite's like the empath stone. Shungite brings us back to ourselves, and Shungite puts up a shield so that we don't take on the stuff of others. And it makes that it's like monitoring our boundaries. So that's a very helpful through this.
Where can you
Okay.
get such things?
There's, if you go on Mighty Networks under my resource section, Mardell, I put the places I only get stones pretty much from 2 different places anymore. This is from a friend of mine, Irma K. She's out in Joshua Tree, and she just comes up with some really unique pieces. She's on Facebook. And then another place I get stones and is Sarah Thomas, who's my stone medicine teacher. She actually lives up in North Carolina, so any stones purchased from her will go to help people up there. They still have a house, but the last I heard, she was just driving around in her pickup and trying to help wherever help can be needed. Because that, well, you're up near there, not out
North
of
of
the
there.
area, north of there. Thank
I'm
goodness.
in West
Yeah.
Virginia.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's an ongoing thing, boy. Okay. So let's find our seat. And we're doing this tonight because it's the new moon in Capricorn, which Capricorn is the sign we're always in when we go into the new year. And Capricorn is like that steady goat who will keep climbing the mountain and make it to the top no matter what. So this is a really good time to set our intentions and to put forth kind of being in our sovereignty, choosing that path of love as we head into this year as a group, just to be here to support one another as well. And just even if it's just a touchstone to come in and get some kind of an anchor point. So let's feel the seat underneath us wherever we're sitting. And if you're sitting on the floor or if you're sitting up, you can feel the bottoms of your feet touching the floor. And we'll take a couple big, deep breaths in. And as you let it go, just let go of anything from today, from this past month, from this past year that you no longer need to hold on to. And take another big, deep breath. And just let it go with a sigh. And let go of any strings attached to you from anyone at all. One more big, deep breath. And then just let your breath come back to its normal pace and rhythm. And start noticing your breath, whether you notice it at your nostrils as it's flowing in or out, or noticing it filling up your lungs, hopefully going all the way deep down into your lungs. And letting it come to its own rhythm, not trying to force it one way or another. And feel the chair supporting you, feel the floor supporting you. And underneath that support is the actual ground and foundation of your house, and the rocks and the earth that are holding your house up. And below that is the earth itself, stretching miles and miles and miles down below us. So we can feel a taproot start growing down our spine and out our bottoms, and allow it to grow down into that earth, pushing its way through the topsoil, down through the layer of rocks and gravel. You may even come to a layer of bedrock or a layer of limestone or coral. And as that taproot grows downward, small little divergent roots can come off of that, anchoring you into Mother Earth. And then you can start feeling energy coming back up through those roots, up through the ground, up through your bottom, and all the way up into your spine as your spine stretches up to the heavens, up to the sky. And when you breathe out, if there's anything you want to release, any toxins, any emotional toxins, any worries, any old beliefs, you can just send it right down that taproot, right down into the ground, and the earth will compost it. Mycelium of the mushrooms are there to just eat it up and transmute it into good nutrients. You can even take all of 2024 and just flush it down that taproot into the ground. And then we can come back to our breath, moving in and out. And as we breathe in, we can picture cosmic energy, light from the heavens coming down into our breath or through the very tops of our heads, into that same middle channel that runs from the top of our head down our spine. And allow that light to flood into your body, from the top of your head, down through your brain, flooding across all of your cells and your neurons and into that central channel. It might be white or golden light. It might feel warm, or it actually might feel cooling to you. And let that flow all the way down through your lungs and your abdomen, down your limbs, your forearms, your fingers, your thighs, your knees, your calves. It's coming in to replace all of the stuff that you let go of. And then come back to your heart center. It's been expanding and collapsing with every breath. And feel that white light just filling up your heart center. Maybe put a hand over that. And feel that place deep within your heart. We all have it. Where the Christ light resides, or the Buddha nature, or just the cosmic love that is your seed from the universe that lives within your heart. And feel that grow a little bit bigger with every in-breath. Might be like a candle flame, it might be a glowing orb. Allow your full attention to just sit within that heart center, that heart energy. We're just going to breathe there for a few minutes. Just bring your attention back to that light within your heart in case it's wandered. And put your hands on your heart to just feel it in there and know that you can always replenish. This energy will be there. You can always replenish it just with your breath and your intention focused on it. And it's this energy or chi that flows out actually through the centers of our palms, through that point, pericardium 8. So if we do want to send somebody some good energy or our animal or share some of that with someone, we can do it just through the palms of our hands. Even if we just imagine a little tiny version of them sitting in the palms of our hands. And nothing will put this energy out. Not even your death, because at death, this is the place that where this ball of energy will move up and out of your body. So it holds our consciousness, our soul, and our spirit energy. May this carry us through this next year. Oh, again, if you're having a hard time or find yourself frazzled or going off course, just sit, even if it's for 10 breaths. You can put your hands on your heart and just tune back into this. When you're ready, you can flutter your eyes back open, feel yourself in your body. Come back to the room. Ah, oh.
Miss Moon has settled into the meditation routine. The first few
Nice.
times, she didn't know what to do. She went upstairs and put herself in my room. Now she knew. She went from chewing her bone while you were talking initially, and as soon as we come, she went to her other bed in the other part of the room and just sacked out.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to send you a picture of the dog who came 5 weeks ago, who didn't know what a toy or a ball was. Thanks, Kat. Didn't have a clue what to do with any of it. I took a picture of her a couple of days ago laying on her little bed. She didn't know what a bed was.
Oh.
And she's got 4 or 5 toys. She's got her ball, she's got her toys, she's got bones. She got them all. I know what to do
They
with
have to have their stuff. They have to have their stuff. Oh.
But it was so sad. The first time I threw a ball for her, basically I hit her in the head when it bounced. She didn't know what to do with it. It got her a beautiful
Wow.
toy. She had no clue. With the squeaker, she had no clue. She just looked at it and walked away from it. She knows now.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. That's
She's
a
now
great Christmas present.
she's now become my good meditation partner, so we're good.
Oh, awesome. That's so good.
What's her name?
So,
Moon dancer,
Moon Dancer?
moon dancer, self-named, as my animals all are. She followed Star Dancer, who followed Morning Star, and Sundance, who followed Rain Dance. And they all had a story. And yeah, but Moon is
cool.
definitely a good name for this girl. She's quite
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And we pulled dolphin for today.
Yes, and I'll be working on that. I did a little work, but then I ran out of time for this. I
So
just-
maybe that will be some lighter.
I just
We'll
wanted-
see.
I wanted to share, 'cause I didn't, I usually get all sorts of stuff. This one wasn't a lot of stuff, but it was good. I suddenly saw this very deep well, but it was
Mm.
filled with purple, mostly purple, varying shades of purple, swirling like really healing energy kind of thing. And it said, and then there was also it was almost like
I
looking
got the purple too, like deep purple came in, and I just let it completely go all over me, and I didn't want to leave it. Like
this was this
I
very
was
steady. I looking down into the well, and it was just like it never ended. It was this bottomless thing, and it was just all this beautiful purple. wave.
oh wow.
And then there was like this big demarcation line, and it was black, and I thought, what the heck? But what I heard was, the well is deep, filled with purple healing light. All the negativity has been flushed. The divide, which was what I saw, the divide the divide between that which serves you and that which does not is wide and very distinct. Come to the well often. Make positive offerings when you are able. Withdraw what you need from it. It will always be replenished for you. So yeah, I thought that was cool.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, because I was like, I love this purple. It was just like, yeah, felt really good.
Well, that
Oh,
was
awesome.
it.
There we go. There we go. All
All right.
right. Well, happy New Year, everybody. I will be putting out, like, we have the water element to go, actually. The water element takes us down into the deep well. And so we're gonna be starting to learn about that when we come back after the new year. And I'm already getting a lot of stuff coming through on that. So yeah. So I will put up the schedule as well. And it's good to see everybody.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Happy New
Take
Year.
care.
What a year this has been. All I've done is pack, purge, and sell things all year.
Well,
What am I gonna do?
you're all set to go though. You've already got it all
Oh
cleaned
my
out.
God, what a year
Wow.
this has been. It started with Mom getting sick the day after New Year's, and it's just been nonstop. And
Wow.
and progressively getting crazier and crazier. And now it's like, wow, what do I do?